During the initial run of Supergirl's first season, I watched exactly 2 episodes. The pilot, which left me unimpressed, and this one, because it featured Livewire, a shock jock turned supervillain I remembered from Superman the Animated Series back in the day. This new version scores a few points right out of the gate by virtue of not being played by Lori Petty. Let's see if she can keep that momentum going.
It is time for my annual list of things I am not grateful for. And this year's list is only one item. Supergirl.
Ooh, this has potential. Too bad it's instantly squandered. Rather than list off any of the legitimate reasons there are to dislike Supergirl, chiefly among them her allowing Reactron to escape last week when she could have easily captured him, thus giving him the chance to cause thousands of dollars in property damage and put hundreds of lives in danger, she instead resorts to petty mean girl taunts so juvenile she might as well be spouting them from a literal sandbox.
Her whole, look at me, I'm adorkable thing. A skirt and tights. Please. No one is trying to get in there. That big old butch-ass chest plate.
Her wholesome demeanor is annoying, her outfit is lame. What guy could possibly be into her? Wow, way to go for the jugular, Leslie. What's next? You gonna shoot spitballs at her? Steal her lunch money? Maybe tie her shoelaces together so she trips and gets embarrassed in front of the boy she likes? Sure, that might sound excessive, but what the hell? Let's go all in and really put the screws to her.
What is Leslie Willis doing in Kat's office?
Well, she does work for Kat. Is there a reason why she shouldn't be in there? Leslie's anti-Supergirl diatribe has gotten Kat's attention, and since Kat herself published an anti-Supergirl expose in the previous episode, you'd think they'd be on the same page here. But it turns out that Kat had actually warned Leslie to not go after Supergirl, even though Kat just went after Supergirl. Confusing? Well, yeah. Okay, I talked about this in the Fight or Flight review, but it needs to be elaborated on. Because we're only 4 episodes in, and this is already pissing me off. Kat's character is wildly inconsistent. The writers can't seem to decide on what her feelings towards Supergirl are exactly, so those feelings keep changing to suit the needs of whatever story the writers are pushing. One week she's adamant that Supergirl maintain a positive image for Catco to cash in on. The next she writes an editorial making Supergirl out to be the worst person in the world. I personally don't give a crap what Kat thinks about Supergirl. All I care about is that it's consistent. The inconsistency comes off as if the writers had no plan at all for what to do with this character, which leads to utterly tone-deaf scenes like these.
Supergirl embodies the worst traits of her generation.
I am doing everything I can to cultivate a relationship between Supergirl and Catco.
The earnestness without purpose, the unshakable belief that she has a right to be heard even when she has nothing to say.
If I could legally adopt her, I would.
Long story short, Leslie refuses to back off Supergirl, so Kat puts her foot down and demotes Leslie to the traffic copter. The problem is that, for all Leslie's posturing, her attacks on Supergirl were so petty and transparently agenda-driven that they most likely weren't doing any real harm to Supergirl's image, whereas Kat said much more damaging things about Supergirl in her recent expose. So Kat laying down the law here doesn't make it seem like she's sticking up for Supergirl or has any kind of leg to stand on. It just makes Kat look like a massive hypocrite, which would be fine if anyone actually called attention to this and it was used to flesh her character out, but that doesn't really happen. So we're just left feeling very confused about a character whose behavior, quite frankly, doesn't add up at all.
People don't want your brand of negativity anymore, Leslie.
They want my brand of negativity, so suck it. Now get in that traffic copter, flunky. Okay, let's get our story straight. She volunteered for traffic duty, right? Right? What? Alright, I'm exaggerating a little bit for comic effect here, but only a little bit, that's the crazy thing. Leslie somehow survives that lightning strike, but she's in a coma now, which leaves Kat feeling guilty about being the reason Leslie was put in danger in the first place.
If anybody should feel guilty, it's me. Not that I do.
In her own special way, of course. With bedside manner like that, you have to wonder if she didn't steal those flowers from the quadriplegic across the hall. Damn right I did. Sure, he was upset about it, but how's he gonna chase after me and lug that respirator around at the same time? He was asking for them to get stolen, really.
Apparently there's a whole shrine in front of Catco. I'm certain I'm going to have to step over it when I go in.
Well, you're basically stepping over Leslie right now, so that shouldn't be much of a stretch. It's Thanksgiving time, so Kara's foster mom is in town for a visit, which dredges up some old parental issues for Alex. Plus, she's reluctant to come clean about what she actually does for a living, and you can totally see why. After all, her mom is a scientist who deals with aliens, so naturally she would be very disapproving of her daughter being a government agent who deals with aliens. And it turns out that is exactly the case. Though on the surface, I can't imagine why Alex thought her mother would have a problem with it. Then again, Leslie probably couldn't imagine Kat would take issue with her yanking on Supergirl's pigtails, so who really knows what's motivating these people? Speaking of Leslie, she wakes up and quickly manages to escape the hospital in a stolen ambulance completely unnoticed. There's a lot that's wrong about that, but the details are quickly glossed over due to Leslie having superpowers now, and since Leslie's not one for wasting time, she instantly decides to go murder Kat. Because Kat put Leslie in that helicopter, which led to her gaining superpowers, which obviously means that Kat deserves to die. And again, we're seeing the extreme pettiness of this character on display. There don't appear to be any adverse side effects to these powers that Leslie is unhappy about. In fact, she seems to think the powers are really cool. So the only reason she has to be upset with Kat is for taking away her show and putting her on traffic detail in the first place. And sure, that's a reason to be angry, but enough to kill someone over? It's not like she fired Leslie and left her destitute or anything. Hell, she threatened to fire Kara and the pilot for less than what Leslie did. I only raise this issue because when the reasons a villain has to do what they do are so paltry, it doesn't make for a very compelling bad guy, and the threat of the week just feels small and inconsequential as a result. Feel free to leave schoolyard territory anytime now, episode. Kara has to leave a very uncomfortable Thanksgiving dinner and go into work due to a power outage. Odd, since that's usually a reason to stop working, but Kat'll be damned if she's gonna let a little thing like no computers, TV, or phone service stop her from hanging out there for Leslie like a worm on a hook.
What fresh incompetence is this?
Don't look at me. You're the one who called the girl who makes you coffee to fix your internet instead of the IT guy. So Leslie shows up to kill them, now calling herself Livewire. Because when becoming a superpowered killer, the brand identity is the most important thing. And it's here where we get our first glimpse of what might be the real Cat Grant, meaning the actual person beneath all those layers of jaded cynicism. In a moment so shockingly selfless it's downright uncharacteristic, Kat orders Kara to go for help while she distracts Livewire so Kara can escape. This gives Kara the chance to don her cape so Supergirl can come to Kat's rescue, which she does. And then the fight just stops. Not because Livewire was defeated or escaped or anything. Supergirl just saves Kat from a falling elevator, and then we cut to the aftermath.
You're safe now, Miss Grant.
Livewire is still in the building, Kara. I don't think this is over yet. Oh wait, it is over. I guess Leslie got bored or something just when she had Kat and Supergirl right where she wanted them. Because that's the perfect time to leave a fight. Whatever. At least Kara didn't let the bad guy escape this time. Presumably because Kat is taking up all the stupid in the room this week, which Kat aptly demonstrates by kicking out all the government agents who are there for her protection and then crashing on the couch in the same office Livewire just tried to kill her in. Because Cat Grant has a death wish.
I didn't get where I am by running and hiding from a fight.
I got where I am by running and hiding in elevators, damn it! But it does lead to the best scene in the episode, where Kat finally lets her walls down a bit. Turns out she's got some mommy issues of her own, which is why she always pushed Leslie to succeed by way of being a horrible person instead of encouraging Leslie's better qualities, assuming she has any. Kat actually takes ownership of her part in creating Livewire here, and while this does not account for the character inconsistencies we've been seeing from her, it does seem as if the writers are attempting to tie this all together. And frankly, this is a new dimension of humanity that Kat badly needed, so I'm willing to cut them some slack on this one.
It's my fault. I turned her into a monster.
Feeling this new, unfamiliar sensation that some might call regret, Kat tries to take responsibility and help Supergirl lure Livewire out, and Leslie just cannot resist taking that bait.
You boring, weak.
Oh, shut up, you mean girl!
Well, I guess with put-downs as half-assed as Leslie's, she did kind of ask for that one. What follows is probably the best fight scene in the show so far. Not because of the action, just for the way the whole thing is structured. They don't get a chance to use the tech supplied by Henshaw, so Supergirl does some quick thinking and wins the fight with her own ingenuity. No one does anything stupid, there's no physics-defying science or girl power message being shoved up our ass, it's just good old-fashioned superheroics. And it works. Imagine that. So Alex and her mom hash things out, the DEO gets their very first human prisoner, I guess Kara let Reactron escape a second time after last week, and Kat decides to run a story about positivity in the spirit of Thanksgiving. So it seems Kara has had an impact on her.
And Kira.
Just not enough of one to pronounce her name correctly. Maybe she's saving that one for Christmas. But hey, Alex got some peace of mind, the Supergirl hating shock jock is put away, Kat may have gained a tiny smidge of appreciation for Kara. Everything's been wrapped up in a neat little...
My dad's in prison.
Well, I guess things couldn't work out perfectly for everyone. The holidays do have the highest suicide rate for a reason. But there's one thing still to be revealed. We learn through flashbacks that the real reason the mom didn't want Alex working for the DEO is that Henshaw basically threatened to bring in Kara when she was a child, so the dad joined the DEO in her place and died working for them, which Henshaw has neglected to mention. So the DEO boss might have some skeletons in his closet that don't involve him being an alien. Maybe he's secretly an Alive and Wired fan. This episode has a big theme of mothers and mother figures running through it, and the complicated relationships many of the characters have with them. Alex feeling her mother was always harder on her than her foster sister, Leslie resenting Kat, Kat regretting the role she played in turning Leslie into a monster. In the end, Alex and her mother repair their relationship, with the mother displaying the care that Kat wished she had shown more with Leslie, while Kat loses her former protege, but possibly gains a new one in Kara, who, having learned a valuable lesson, she hopefully won't screw up as badly as the last one. As stories go, the Berlanti-verse shows have produced a hell of a lot worse. Watched in isolation, this episode is fairly decent. The problems come when you're actually taking continuity into account. Focusing on Kat for the first time only shines a spotlight on how inconsistent she's been from one episode to the next. Does she like Supergirl or hate her? Does she want to promote Supergirl or tear her down? The writers just can't make up their minds. I think her conversation with Kara here was intended to explain her constantly changing attitude. I just don't think it succeeded. Nevertheless, the writers did seem to make some kind of effort with this one, which is more than I can say for Fight or Flight. It's hardly perfect, but it's certainly the most solid episode so far. If you're joining us for the first time, hit that subscribe button, click the thumbs up, rock that bell icon so you can be notified when new videos get uploaded, and other stuff just like that. Until next time, over, out. Of all the Marvel villains they could have taken visual cues from, they chose Whiplash? Meh, still a better villain than Steppenwolf.